Good afternoon. Thank you for registering for today's Noon Zoom, How to Access Small Business Federal Relief Funds. Noon Zoom is a free virtual training event facilitated by the Clemson region Sbdc to bring timely news and training to small businesses and entrepreneurs. The program features live Q&A with professional business consultants from the Clemson region Sbdc, and we are so glad that you made the decision to join us today. My name is Andrea Galehouse. I'm the office manager of Clemson Region Sbdc, and I will serve as your host for today's Zoom session. Today is January the 22nd, 2021. The information we're presenting today is shared in good faith as what we now know, with the understanding that all guidelines may be subject to change. This workshop will be recorded and sent along with the presentation to all attendees. As an attendee, you may also receive a survey. If you do, please take a few minutes to complete it. Your participation in this survey will help us to continue to provide programming that is of interest and useful to our small business community. Throughout today's session, we invite you to post your questions in the chat window. We also ask that you please turn off your video and remain on mute throughout the presentation. These two actions on your part will allow for the best possible experience for everyone on the call today. For those who may not be familiar with the Sbdc, I want to take just a moment to introduce you to us. The South Carolina Sbdc is an accredited member of America's Sbdc, representing a national network of small business development centers. Sbdcs can be found serving their local small business communities across the entire United States and its territories. South Carolina Sbdcs are created through a partnership between the U.S. Small Business Administration and our higher education hosts, including Clemson University, the University of South Carolina, Winthrop University, and SC State. Our mission is to advance South Carolina's economic development by helping entrepreneurs to grow successful businesses. It is through our partnership with the SBA and our higher education hosts and sponsors that we are able to fulfill our mission, and we're grateful for this support. So what do Sbdcs do? Think of the Sbdc as an extension of your business. We offer customized support and training throughout the life cycle of your small business. Our network of Sbdc consultants provides no-fee private confidential consultations, access to affordable training events, and connections to an array of valuable resources and practical industry tools. We're not only available during times of disaster like COVID-19. In addition to our disaster response assistance, our network of professional business consultants is equipped to provide our clients with an array of topics that help small businesses to compete in Main Street. If you have questions or would like to connect with a professional business consultant, please check our website, www.sbdc.com, to find the center and consultant nearest you, or send me an email. You have my email address, and I'll be glad to help you to get connected. Now that you're familiar with the South Carolina Sbdc, we can get down to the subject matter at hand, federal relief for small businesses. Even in the best of times, funding is a topic on most people's minds, and unfortunately, many small businesses fail because they don't have access to capital. With that said, I want to introduce you to the Clemson Region Consultant Team, who will be presenting today's content, Small Business Federal Relief Funds. The Clemson Region team serves small businesses and entrepreneurs in and around the upstate and surrounding counties, and we are part of the South Carolina Sbdc network of around 50 consultants that serve the state and work hard every day to support small businesses. Presenting today are Ben Calhoun, our Greenwood Area Manager, Benny Smith, Clemson Area Manager, Earl Gregorich, Greenville Area Manager, Katrina Meeks, the Spartanburg Area Manager, Costas Ioannidis, a consultant in the Greenville office, and Jill McCollum, our Region Director. Benny Smith and Costas are going to lead us through our first topic, Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. And as I prepare to hand the mic over to Benny, we're going to take just a moment to launch a PPP Zoom poll to help us better understand your starting point with PPP. I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. If you could just take a moment, it's anonymous, to weigh in on where you stand right now with PPP. And then I'll introduce Benny to kick it off. Okay, that poll launched ended really quickly, so I'm going to share those poll results. I think you can see them. Okay, And Benny, if you'd like to unmute and take us through PPP.
Sure. Thanks, Andrea. Appreciate all you do for our team and the folks that we serve, and especially appreciate you guys on the call that are reaching out to us for guidance. That says to me, you guys are in the that you're a small business owner or one of the directors of our local nonprofits, and you guys certainly make our communities worthwhile for sure, and it wouldn't be the same without you. We really appreciate what you guys do for your families and the families of those you serve and employ. With that said, the Paycheck Protection Program, I'm just going to run through some of the basics of the new PPP offering. Again, the original PPP was born, if you would, through the CARES Act, and this is the subsequent rollout of the PPP through the EAA. So just want to make sure you guys understand this. The PPP is applicable in its current form to new applicants, in addition to those who may want to optimize the amount that they would have been eligible for if you applied and did not optimize that amount on the first in the first draw. In addition to those who attained a PPP loan last year and are looking for a second draw. Costas is going to go through first and second draw specifics in just a couple moments. Again, this is a 5-year 1% note with a 10-month deferment. Is up to 100% forgivable if managed appropriately, and Costas will cover that for you. I do want to run through some of the key PPP loan enhancements per the EAA, and that included a pivot on tax treatment. So the funds from PPP are not tax deductible. However, the expenditures covered by the PPP could be tax deductible if eligible for tax deductibility. Expanded list of expenses qualifying for forgiveness has also been, is also part of the refinement. That would include additional stipulation for operations expense, as I'm specifying on the slide in front of you, in addition to supplier cost is specified, worker protection expenses, and covered property damage cost. Loan forgiveness reduction has been eliminated. That's a key change. That is relative to those who received that EIDL grant last year. So loan forgiveness reduction has been eliminated from the total amount that you would be eligible for forgiveness on the PPP. And the forgiveness period has been expanded 18 to 24 weeks of the period of which you could use the funds, it should be stated, this would be applicable to new PPP requests only. And Costas, so again, go over some of the variations of first and second draw. And finally, the simplified one-page application is now out. That's for PPP loans of $150,000 or less. It's very straightforward. You guys will find that on the SBA site and or our consultants and or your PPP lender can direct you to that. So if we can advance to the next slide, just kind of wrapping up my comments, general qualifications. You would have been in business as of February 15th of 2020 in operations, if you would, and you'd meet the small business test as specified. Required economic impact. It is necessary that you would be able to demonstrate, if challenged, regarding some negative impact. You'll see there's a difference on first draw applicants. That's an impact. It's not quantitative. That's a little more subjective versus those that are looking for second draw. Allowed uses of funds. Again, the key here is it still requires a 60% use for allowed payroll to optimize forgiveness. I'm going to put the actual verbiage for the non-payroll cost into the chat as soon as I hand the mic over to Costas. And I think that'll clear up some of the questions that we've had before. How to apply. you'll need to apply. Our suggestion is start with your PPP lender if you've had a PPP lender. Begin there, and if they're going to offer the PPP program this through the SACIT draw, our suggestion is stick with them. It'll simplify the process on your end, and should save you a few steps. If you've never had a PPP lender, such that this would be your first draw, or if your PPP lender is not participating in this round, then we will, our suggestion is reach out to your business banker that you have a relationship with beyond PPP, and just make sure that, see if they can accommodate. If they cannot, simply reach out to myself, one of our colleagues, your Sbdc consultant closest to you. Andrea will have our contact information for our individual and our expanded statewide team later in the call toward the end. And it's a really easy lift. And we've got, as Andrea mentioned, over 20 service centers with around 50 colleagues strategically positioned to help you in the field closest to the community that represents your business. Just make sure you apply on or before March 31st. It is kind of a first come, first serve, so sooner the better. And with that, I'll yield the floor to my colleague Costas to take us through the balance of PPP.
Thank you, Ben. All right, so with the PPP loan, it's designed to provide direct incentive for all the small businesses to keep the workers on the payroll. It's just like the first go around. And as Ben said, you want to have at least 60% going towards the payroll cost. One thing I would keep in mind is try and use it all for the payroll and then whatever afterwards. But the thing is if once you reach that amount that you can have forgiven, when you submit for forgiveness, you don't want to have to submit every expense. Just submit what gets you qualified for that. So once you hit that if you borrowed $60,000, just submit the documentation for the $60,000. Don't submit like $100,000 worth of expenses. It's just creating more paperwork, more confusion, and more stuff to be reviewed. The program opened up on the 11th, and there's a few. We're gonna send out the presentation. We have links in here, and so it'll take you to different areas where you can find some of the information as far as like the lender match and the lenders near you on a map. And the first draw of PPP loan forgiveness terms is made available to borrowers who qualify for full loan forgiveness if it was during the 8 to 24 week covered period following the disbursement. Employee compensation levels they have to be maintained, and the proceeds have to be spent on payroll costs and other eligible expenses. As I just said, again, the 60% threshold is the key. Next slide, please. And who may qualify? Any business, any small business, you have to meet certain criteria. Also, nonprofits, 501c3s, and new for this time around is 501c6s have been approved now. 501c19s, veteran organizations, tribal business concerns, Section 31B2C of the Small Business Act, with greater of 500 employees or meets SBA industry standard size of more than 500. Any business with a NAICS code that begins with a 72. Now, like if you look up your NAICS code, the first two numbers have to be 72 to fit the specific type of accommodations and food services to give you added benefits when it comes to the PPP loans and the terms of those. See how and when to apply. It's opened up already. It opened up last week, and you have until the March 31st. Keep in mind, if the funds go before March 31st, it's not going to do you any good waiting until then. So you better to apply sooner than later. You also have to have completed the first go round. Actually, this is the first draw. So actually, I'll get into that in the second draw. First draw PPP loans have the same terms regardless of the lender or the borrower. And this SBA form 2483 that you can use to fill out. Some of your lenders, they may have their own form, but you can do this and at least get your information organized for when you do reach out to the lender. Next slide, please. Reapplying and loan increases. Existing PPP borrowers didn't receive a loan forgiveness by December 27th. They can reapply for a first draw loan if they return some of it, or first draw PPP loans, or under certain circumstances request to modify the first draw PPP loan amount if they previously didn't accept the full amount. So if you need more money, you can do that as well. Excuse me. First draw PPP loans are made eligible to borrowers who qualify for the full loan forgiveness, and employee compensation levels are maintained, and then again 60%. How and when to apply for forgiveness. Borrower can apply for forgiveness once the loan proceeds have been used, and then you have any time up to the maturity date of the loan. If borrowers do not apply for the forgiveness within the first 10 months after the last day of the covered period of the 8 to 24 week post disbursement, then the PPP loan payments are no longer deferred, and you need to begin making those payments. And then you can go to the next slide. And on the second draw loans, is designed for incentive for the small business who already received the loan and will or have used the full amount by the authorized uses. The Paycheck Protection Program, it resumed the second draw on the 13th of January, so it's already opened up. Again, we have a link for the lender match, and the lenders available on a map. And at least $25 billion is being set aside for the second draw to eligible borrowers of maximum of 10 employees, and for loans of $250,000 or less to eligible borrowers in low or moderate income neighborhoods. People who may qualify as a borrower who's eligible for a second draw is going to be you receive the first draw loan and will have used the full amount prior to applying for the second draw. If you have no more than 300 employees and can demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts compared to comparable quarters in 2019 2020, you can apply for a first draw loan. And if you use up those funds, you can apply for a second draw loan, even if you didn't get a first draw, get a PPP in the first go round last year. So just keep that in mind. You just have to use up those funds. Next slide, please. Second draw, it can be used to cover your payroll. Well, the same things as in the first go around. It can also cover uninsured property damage costs caused by looting or vandalism as well. Any upfit changes you made to the business to help protect your employees or customers, things of that nature. For the most part, most borrowers, they're going to have a maximum loan amount on the second draw PPP of 2.5% average monthly of 2019 or 2020 payroll costs up to $2 million. Again, back to the NAICS code of beginning in 72. Borrowers in the accommodation food sector, maximum loan amount for second draw PPP is 3.5 average monthly of the 2019-2020 payroll cost of the $2 million. So that's where that little extra benefit is. So you got to make sure you have that NAICS code in order to qualify for that part. When to apply? You need to apply now. It's up until the end of March. Again, don't wait around. Go ahead and get the ball rolling. If you got any questions, reach out to us. And there's more than enough people here at Small Business Development Center to help you out with any of your questions and get you the guidance that you need. If you wish to begin preparing the application, again, we have a link for that. Second draw borrower application form was released on the 8th of this month, and we have a link to that in our presentation. You can go to the next slide, please. And the loan forgiveness is during the 8th. The second draw is made eligible to qualify for full forgiveness if you used up the the funds during the 8 to 24 week and you met certain criteria, at least 60% towards payroll costs and then the other eligible expenses. You can apply for forgiveness once all the proceeds have been used. You cannot do it before then. So make sure you get them used up. Obviously, you got to make sure you spend it in the correct manner, but make sure you use them and meet those certain percentages, especially for the payroll, so that way you can qualify for the full forgiveness. Right, next slide, please. And I'm going to pass it over to Ben for the EIDL.
All right, thank you, Costas. The next program we're going to discuss doesn't get as much attention as some of the grants, forgivable loans, and free money that's out there. So I like to affectionately refer to it as the Paycheck Protection Program's forgotten older brother. If you're a football fan, think of it as the Cooper Manning of COVID stimulus. The official name for the program is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. It's also referred to as the EIDL program. First thing you'll notice is the word loan is highlighted on the slide. Unlike some of the other programs we cover today, this is a loan, which means it has to be paid back. The good news is that the terms and rates are very attractive compared to traditional lending options. 3.75% fixed rate for businesses and 2.75% fixed rate for nonprofits, with terms up to 30 years with no prepayment penalties or fees. To put that in perspective, a for-profit business that borrows $25,000 would have a monthly payment of $116, which is really unheard of for working capital loan. So pretty low cost to carry the funds. The allowed uses of the funds are listed here. You'll also notice some details that pertain to the qualification considerations. Compared to the other CARES Act programs that rolled out last year, this program didn't see many changes with the implementation of the new stimulus bill. If you're interested in applying for this loan, you can do so directly through the SBA. That's one of the subtle differences between it and the Paycheck Protection Program. Paycheck Protection Program goes through an approved lender, and the EIDL goes directly through the SBA. The portal is actually up and running now, so you can go ahead and start your application today if you're interested. That's all we have in regards to EIDL, so I'm going to pass it over to Jill for our next topic.
Thanks, Ben. Okay, we'll talk about the employee extension tax credit. This was around last year. The difference is that in 2020, you could not take the tax credit and get a PPP loan. They have changed that now. So what you can do with the tax credit is you can go back to your 2020 taxes and possibly revise them or amend them. All of the stuff I'm going to say now is going to advise that you contact an accountant, because it gets complicated, but it can be done. Last year's the calculation was 50% of your employees of the payroll tax. I don't have it on my slides. I'm going by something else I saw today. It's 50% up to $5,000 per employee or $10,000 per employee. So that'll be if you're backdating. For 2021, they all, that's when all this, became effective with PPP. They're allowing you to do both. It is 70% of your up to $10,000 in wages, so that allow you to take $7,000 per employee for 2 quarters. So it's the first 2 quarters of 2021. So that's $14,000 per employee that you can apply when you file your 941 as a tax credit, and it is a refundable advanceable tax credit. So it's good news, and it can be. The thing you need to keep in mind is if you are going to have a PPP this year, or again, if you had one last year and you're deciding to go and backdate amend some taxes for 2020, you can't use the same block of payroll when you're calculating what you want to be forgiven on and what you want to get tax credit on. So, and there's going to be ways. There's ways in some of the legislation that will define how to separate that. They haven't really finalize really what they're looking for, but there is going to be a way. So just keep in mind that that's going to be something to do that will be good for your taxes. And again, tax professional is going to be our best bet, but I'll be more than happy to share what I have and what I found in the legislation. But for now, follow up if you can. And I'll turn it over to, oh, I got something else. Wait a minute. I'm in a hurry. Okay, we're going to do talk about SBA debt relief. So this is something, again, that they had last year. It is, again, available this year. The SBA will it will actually provide 3 months of your payments on SBA loans. And this is not PPP, this is not EIDL. This is true SBA 7A, their 7A or their 504 or their microloans or community advantage loans. Hey, somebody needs to mute. Starting in February of this year, they will make 3 months of payments. After the 3 months, if you're an underserved borrower, which is in that category right there in the middle paragraph or that top paragraph of the type of business, there is a possibility to get another 5 months of payments. This also applies to new SBA loans that have been made since December 22nd of last year through September 30th of this year. If that's the case, if you're in process or you get a loan this year up through September, then you could receive 6 months of government payments, also capped at $9,000 a month. So again, this is some of this text is still being worked out too. Some of this is still, the guidance is still being worked out, but it is in process. If you have a loan, then the best thing to do is contact your lender. It's supposed to be automatic, but it wouldn't hurt to chat with your lender and make sure that you're going to be in line for as much as you can get. And now I turn it over to, I think, Katrina.
Thanks, Jill. Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you about the new targeted EIDL advance. And I say it's new because many changes have been made. If you previously received a portion of the EIDL advance or you applied and did not receive any of the EIDL advance, you may now qualify for additional funding up to $10,000 under this new legislation. The qualifications for consideration are that your business has 300 or fewer employees, that you've experienced a 30% reduction in revenue, and you must be able to demonstrate this reduction in revenue within an 8-week period following March 2nd of 2020. And your business must be located in a low-income community as defined by Section 45D of the Internal Revenue Code. Some important things you might want to know about this is that, of this new advance, is that applicants may be asked to submit gross monthly revenues showing their losses. Applicants may also be asked to fill out a form IRS form 4506T, which allows the IRS access to your tax, allows SBA access to your tax returns. The good news is, and Ben Smith mentioned this earlier, if you receive the PPP, the EIDL advance is no longer being deducted from your PPP forgiveness amount. The EIDL advances do not have to be repaid. Now, you may say, well, how do I know if I qualify? How will I qualify? Well, you don't have to do anything. Actually, the SBA will reach out to you and contact you for the grant. Only prior applicants will be considered. So if you applied for the EIDL advance prior to December 27th, 2020 and didn't get it, you should be getting notification from the SBA regarding the advance. The notifications will go out in the form of an official government email with the ending at sba.gov. So look for that in your email boxes. And I have included a low-income community locator. So in case you have some questions or don't really fully understand if you're located in a low-income community, this device might, or this website might help. You can go to www.enterprisecommunity.org and follow the prompts to interactive maps. And that will be able to help you determine whether you qualify for a low income or your business is located in a low income community. Now I'm going to turn it over to Earl Gregorich and to tell you about another exciting grant. Earl?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Katrina. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant today. We've had just a few more clarifications since last week that the SBA has posted to the website. This is a $15 billion program, primarily pointed towards the concert and venue, movie theater type businesses. You have to have been in operation since February 29th of 2020. There is a under 50 employee requirement, but I'm going to explain a difference to that here in just a moment. That has been clarified since last week. You have to have to be able to show at least a 25% reduction in your quarterly revenues 2019 versus 2020. You can receive a grant up to $10 million in this program. And if you do get to the point where you want to do a PPP loan, you cannot do both the SBO grant and a PPP program. You must do one or the other. If you had a PPP loan prior to 12/27 of 2020, you can still get this grant. So you have to make sure that your PPP loan occurred prior to the 12/27/2020 deadline in order to do that. Idle does not have an effect on this grant, so if you got idle, you can still apply for this grant. There is a wider use of the funds for this grant money than what you can use PPP money for, so if you are otherwise qualified for this, that might make it more palatable to apply for the grant. So as of 11:30 this afternoon or this morning, the portal still was not open. I did check that prior to getting online here today. The main thing that was clarified from last week to this is they have now added an additional rollout phase for the awards. It was originally those who had a reduction in revenues of 90% would be awarded first, 70% would be awarded second. They've now added a third tier, 25%. That grouping will be the last grouping awarded. And then if there is any funds left after a 60-day period, they will remove that 50 and under employee limitation, and they will award grants to all applicants of all sizes at that point. You can see the calculations there. Basically, it's an average of your revenues, be it 45% of your gross revenues in 2019, or an average of all of your full months of operation in 2019 multiplied by 6. So just make sure that you also keep all of your documentation for a 4-year period to support this grant. And that's pretty much the same for all of the programs that you're hearing about today. You must maintain documentation for a period of time after the award. So if you want more information, the link that I am monitoring for this is at the bottom in red. Be a good time to screenshot that or pick it up after we upload the slide deck today. So with that, I will turn it back to Andrea and we'll get started with the Q&A. There have been no additional changes on the additional assistance programs. Those are all still the same from last week.
So I am going to go ahead and just thank everybody. That link will be included in our email communication. So until we meet again, if you have questions, contact the Spdc, www.sbdc.com, or give us a call. We appreciate you, the work that you do, and stay safe, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Go Tigers.